Okay, what's up, guys, and welcome to episode 150 of the Take One podcast. I am your host, August C. Jones, and I know it's been a minute. It's been like about 6 months since I put anything on my channel, but I can't stress to any and everybody that when it comes to mental health, I feel like everybody needs to take care of it. Needs to get better in some capacity. Whether it's stuff that you can do, just just by yourself, or it's just something that you might need help with therapy, or just talking to friends, family members, or just even strangers. Sometimes you need people to hear your problems that don't have any biases. That can just let you know what you need to know. And however you need to get that, straightened out, get that straightened out. It's I know mental health, a lot of times you will see that on YouTube, and you just like, you tired of seeing it, but it's kind of like a big epidemic amongst a lot of people. And I myself found myself going through it and still am. But I felt like, falling deeper into it, it's worse than, anything. I feel like I need to do stuff to make me happy. And talking about movies and stuff like that, and just kind of like putting myself in a space to where I can escape everything that is bothering me, and putting myself in a position to where I can do things to make me happy. Even the smallest victories matter. That works, whatever it takes. And that's why I'm here doing this, because honestly, for like the past months, this been on my mind, but I just have not been in the right space, and I still ain't. Like I said, I still ain't. But I wanted to do this to try and climb up that mountain and get back to a spot where I was before, or even better, a higher spot. So with that all out the way, episode 150 of the Take One podcast. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and for those who have subscribed to my channel and has not seen anything for a while, and maybe even check in now and then or whatnot, thank you for being patient with me. So I wanted to start off this podcast by basically just tackling some of the stuff that just recently came out. So one of the big things that came out recently was the Godzilla Vs Kong trailer. Now, all last week we were getting basically advertisement like, oh, it's coming Sunday, it's coming Sunday, it's coming Sunday. And it's finally here. And this was no what I can say, it was no coincidence, or maybe it was. But my son, we always try to have like a movie night, whether we're going to the show, or now, since there's really nothing in theaters for, a family to see, really, we pick a movie and we'll just grab something to eat and we'll watch it at the crib. And this weekend, literally, I didn't even pick it. He the one who picked it. He wanted to watch Godzilla King of the Monsters. And because we seen it in theaters, but he wanted to rewatch it again. And I thought it was just fitting that, he wanted to watch it right the day before the trailer came out. But in any case, getting right into the trailer. So I really did like the trailer. I really did. It does come across as a high budgeted B movie. It puts me in the realm of Fast and Furious, and just movies like that can still be good, but you're not expecting true depth. You're not expecting to, find some top tier acting, something that's going to be Oscar worthy. This is a movie that you're going into there and you're knowing what you're getting, because there's two fucking monsters, going head to head. Two big, popular, iconic monsters, Godzilla and King Kong, going against each other. I mean, it's like when you go into a movie like Fast and Furious, you already know it's going to be ridiculous, but you don't go in there expecting something else. You go in there to expect to have fun with the movie. And it's just like Pacific Rim. And that's what the trailer gave me, vibes from. But I mean, it's large monsters and all that stuff. So, it's always going to be something like, this reminds me of that or whatnot. But, this trailer came across more as a teaser, but more or less going toward a normal trailer. It is the first official trailer, but it came across as like a teaser with more to it. Teaser with benefits, if that's the correct tone to it. But from watching it, you can tell that it has great visuals. If you've seen the other movies, Godzilla, the 2014 one that came out, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, as I was just talking about, you already know that they're going all out with the visuals. Like, it looks incredible. Some of the visuals is kind of like, okay, they probably still maybe need to do something to it, but at this point, it's coming out in March on HBO Plus. Oh, not HBO Plus. HBO Max, as well as the movie theaters. So more than likely, there's nothing else that they're gonna do to it. But it looks great. The fights that it actually showed bits and pieces of looked incredible. It really did look incredible. And I'm trying to do this in one take. I'm not used to doing it like this, so bear with me. But it seems like they're going more for the feel of the, Godzilla King of the Monsters movie, because one of the big negatives with the 2014 Godzilla movie was that there wasn't really no fighting. It was more focused on the people. And I don't know how it was with the older Godzilla movies, but nowadays, when you do something like that, it kind of is a turnoff, because a lot of people are expecting a Godzilla fight. They're not expecting to see what Joe Schmo is doing over there, or Jane Doe. It just, we want to see monsters fight. That's what we're going to. You can sprinkle some, human interactions and emotion and all that stuff, but we come here to see monsters fight. We come here to see destruction. So it seems like this movie is going to do more or less what the second movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters, did, which is majority just crazy monster fights. And if they can balance it with the first movie, with great character development and everything else with like just the regular humans, as well as a lot of monster fights, that's great. I'll be happy with that. And basically, I get kind of a thing that there's more to this movie. So in the trailer, it does talk about how, Godzilla is doing all this crazy stuff. And if you know Godzilla from the other movies, it's like Godzilla is the protector of man. He's a protector. He's going to protect us from all these other monsters. So why is he attacking Earth, or, the humans and stuff like that, causing all this destruction? And it seems like it's going that's basically kind of the thing, that the question that they're trying to answer within this movie. And I'm curious to know, because that's one of the questions I was thinking about even before I saw this trailer. Is like, okay, Godzilla is for us and King Kong mainly is for us. That's what we got from Kong Skull Island. So it was like, why are they fighting each other? Like, what's the reason? And I feel like it's going to be put into place kind of like BVS, where you have them going against each other for whatever, some odd reason, but then at the end, it's all building up to maybe a bigger monster or monsters that they have to team up and go against or whatever. And then at the end, they're going to shake hands or whatever, because they have the same mother. That they have the mother with the same name and stuff like that. If you've seen BVS, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's what kind of I get from it as well. And I don't know, one of the things that just threw me off about it was the size kind of scale. It seemed like they were kind of smaller. Like, both of these giant, big ass monsters can fit on this ship. Like, I'm just like, what the hell? Like, I don't understand it. But it seems like, I don't know, maybe because it's the trailer and I need to watch the full film, or, maybe I need to do mathematics, which I'm horrible at, and try and figure out, the scale of it. But it seems like they maybe were scaled down just a little bit to fit on the ship, or to be able to fit on the ship or whatever, and made bigger, of course, when they're in a city going against each other. I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't know, like, right now, it's just, that's one of the things that really stood out to me. Another thing that stood out to me was that, Godzilla, and it seemed like this battle with Godzilla and King Kong spans, like, back in ancient times when they talked about like this is like something that they've done before or whatever. And you see Godzilla, I mean, you see King Kong fighting monsters, which seem like it may be back in prehistoric times. And he's holding an axe. So more than likely that's his weapon of choice. And which brings me to the end of the trailer. You see Godzilla, no, not Godzilla. You see Kong with an axe who's swinging it about, who's going at, Godzilla with it. And the last shot with Godzilla basically blowing out his like blue fire breath at Kong as he's coming down with the axe, and the axe is late. Basically, he's blocking it with the axe, but it seemed like the axe is getting powered up by the energy that Godzilla is doing, and then he basically comes down with it and hits Godzilla with it. That was an awesome way to end off the whole trailer. I really did like it. That final shot was what really kind of like, like gave it that I need to see this. But in certain parts, it seemed like it may end up being like a Transformer thing where you're gonna have some comic relief characters, and I'm just more interested in seeing the fights between Kong, finding out why Godzilla is doing what he's doing. I've heard theories that maybe it's a Mecha Godzilla. If you pause it at certain points, or you just listen to other people's theories, that probably is true. That's probably one of the factors into why Godzilla is doing what he's doing. But overall, I really did enjoy the movie. I am going to be putting out my most anticipated list sometime this week. And yeah, that movie had made it, even before I seen this trailer, had made it on the list because I did like Kong Skull Island and, Godzilla King of the Monsters. The first Godzilla 2014 was okay. Out of all them, out of the other two movies, that one was just nah. But I am really excited to see this movie, and since it is going to be in theaters as well, I'm definitely gonna go check it out in IMAX. And probably if it's that damn good, I'm gonna rewatch it again at home on HBO Max. But yeah, that was my thoughts on the Godzilla vs Kong first official trailer. And let me know what you guys think. If you liked it, go ahead and put the comments down in the comment section, and just let's start up this conversation. So the next thing that I am going to basically get on is more delays. Now, the pandemic has really ran rapid with everything, but we're talking about movies. So I'm going to be talking about just the movie theaters and everything else. The movies have been majorly affected. Movies, major films have not came out yet that were supposed to come out last year. Black Widow, No Time to Die, A Quiet Place 2, other big movies. I think Eternals, the other Marvel movie, was supposed to come out. TV shows were delayed and picked back up. The Batman was supposed to come out this year, but was pushed back because shooting was pushed back. Like, a lot of movies were delayed, whether they were finished and slated to come out, or whether they were in production or close to the end production and had to stop and then continue on later on once, things got maybe a little bit better to where, the circumstances are easier to work with. But as we were going in toward the end of last year, we got basically a lot of movies. Okay, they're not coming out in 2020. We're going to push them to 2021. Some movies get pushed all the way to 2022. So, one of the movies, Black Widow, a lot of people have been waiting for it. Quiet Place, a lot of people have been waiting for that. No Time to Die. We get into this new year, not even a month ends. Like, this month isn't even over. It's close to being over, not even close to, it's not even over yet. And we already have a lot of delays. I mean, you got A Quiet Place 2 was supposed to come out, I believe it was like earlier this year. Let me look at my notes. So it originally was slated for March 2020, then got pushed to September 2020, then got pushed to April 23rd, 2021. and now has been pushed to September 17th, 2021, which looks like more of an ideal date because of the vaccines that's been rolling out. Not as fast as, as it should, but more than likely toward the end of the year, beginning of next year, it looks like more of a better time for a movie like that, or movies that are coming out at the beginning of this year to actually come out, whatever. And then you got movies like No Time to Die, the last Daniel Craig James Bond movie that was slated to come out last year. That movie moved just as much as a lot of other movies, and that was one of the most anticipated movies to come out. It first was supposed to come out in April 2020, then it got pushed to November 2020, then April 2021, and now it's coming out October 8th, which I think is weird. I was expecting it to get pushed maybe to November, but with a lot of movies being pushed to 2021 and 2022, this year is looking bloated. So that's probably one of the reasons why. It's probably like that section of this year probably isn't, covered by a whole bunch of movies, or even big budgeted movies, smaller movies or whatever. So it's slated now for October 8th, 2021. And this comes from the official James Bond Twitter account. And it's like, that's one of the movies I'm waiting for. I don't know if it's going to come out this year. Maybe they might push it to March of next year. I don't know. But that's been pushed back. As well as Sony has pushed back other movies. Like, what is it? The Cinderella movie with Camila Cabello, that's her name, the singer. That was supposed to come out, I think maybe next month. It was supposed to come out. They pushed that back. Peter Rabbit 2, another movie that wasn't on my top 10 list. I can tell you that. But I was looking forward to it because I really did like the first one. Me and my son really did like the first film. That got pushed back. Ghostbusters Afterlife, as well as Uncharted, the video game for, that's on PlayStation. The live action with Tom Holland, that got pushed back. That was supposed to come out. And they're pushing all of these movies to, I believe, 2022. And one of the factors is the reason why these movies are being pushed, and it's not because of pandemic. I mean, more than likely, that's one part of it. But the other part is simply because this year is starting, because of like last year, is beginning to be crowded. And 2022 is more than likely going to start to get crowded as well. We probably ain't going to start to see really a non-crowded year for movies until maybe 2023 or 2024. Hopefully by then everything will go back to normal. No more masks, no more worry, no nothing. But those movies have been pushed back, and only mainly, and another part of it is that Sony doesn't have a streaming service like Disney or Warner Brothers or places like that. All they can do is auction off their movies like to Netflix, Prime, or whatever. And I don't think that they want to do that. I feel like they want to have that theatrical release, which is nothing wrong with that. And on top of that, I've heard that they're coming out with their own. They're trying to develop their own streaming service, Bravio, like their TV brand or whatever. They're trying to do something like that, start up their own thing. That way, they can do what Warner Brothers, Disney Plus, and other studios are doing. Universal when it comes to these like products. And one of the other movies that got moved is Morbius. It's basically the second movie to come out in the Venomverse, and it's connected to the Venom movie, and that got moved to January 21st, 2022. It's supposed to come out July 10th of 2020. Then it got moved to July 31st, 2020. Then got moved to the 19th of March of this year, and then got pushed to October 8th, and now it's coming out next year. And I think it's really just to kind of be on the safe side. As of right now, Venom has not been moved. Venom 2, the Let There Be Carnage, is still right where it's supposed to be. I believe it's like June is coming out in this year. So that may end up getting moved to maybe later on this year. But as far as those movies, yeah, like I feel like there's going to be a lot more moving of movies, just because if theaters aren't open back up, a lot of people aren't going, and they're not, it's not really too much money to be made from it. I feel like a lot of movies are going to be moved. Like we probably might go another year without seeing an MCU movie, or maybe even just one. When was the last time we saw just one MCU movie within a year? It's been a minute. I believe I want to say maybe it was Iron Man 2. Yeah, I think Iron Man 2 was the last time we saw one MCU movie. After that, it was basically two or more, which is crazy to think. But yeah, all these movies, a lot of movies, people are very much anticipated. Black Widow hasn't been moved yet. I know a lot of people talking about how they want it to be on Disney Plus, put it straight to Disney Plus, but that's a potentially $1 billion movie. I'm pretty sure Disney wanted to be in the theaters to where it can make as much money as it can, because it's not gonna make $1 billion on VOD, or premium VOD, or how they do it, the premiere access or whatever, like they did for Mulan, and that they're doing for Raya and the Last Dragon. Or they might even do a hybrid, where it's like you can get the premiere access as well as it's in theaters, so that they can still make the money from the theaters, and then they get the money from the premiere access, which more than likely they're gonna continue to go with the $30. But we'll see, since Mulan was such a big disaster. Just it's that's a whole video to cover in itself. But they're doing it again with Raya and the Last Dragon. But the only difference between this movie and Mulan is that you have the option to either get the premiere access, or you can actually go to a movie theater. Crap, I can't even speak. If there is a movie theater open near you, because I know in certain places in the U.S., people don't have movie theaters near them open, to where they have to drive hours just to go to the movies. So I'm fortunate to have movie theaters around me. I mean, even if it's not 15-20 minutes away, there are movie theaters in the city that I can go to. Not that many, but either one or two that I can go to from just place to place. So it's like they might do that, where it's just maybe just shoot it straight to Disney Plus, or maybe just do the hybrid mode, or just wait to a time where they can just basically just put it out in theaters and have a theatrical run, kind of like how Tenet did last year. But yeah, it's crazy out here to be a movie studio and to be a movie theater, to own movie theaters. It's crazy out here. I feel like there is going to be a lot more shifting of release dates, with a whole lot of other movies coming out this year, which is gonna probably make my most anticipated most anticipated list of this year kind of like in void. But I mean, I did it last year. I mean, we didn't know at this point how last year would turn out, but at the same time, I'm gonna do it. Hopefully at least half of the movies still come out this year, and then I can go from there. But yeah, I mean, it's super crazy when it comes to that. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the next thing, which I'm going to be talking about Christopher Nolan and his relationship with Warner Brothers possibly coming to an end. And that's crazy, because I believe from what I've read, Christopher Nolan, his relationship with Warner Brothers go back 20 years. To a lot of his earlier movies. And that's crazy to think about. Now that I think about it, yeah, it was the early 2000s. Because I remember one of my favorite films of all time, I ain't gonna say top 10 or whatever, but is his movie, The Prestige. And it was with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. And that movie, that was a long ass time ago. And a lot of his movies, if not all of them, if I'm not mistaken, were Warner Brother productions, from the Dark Knight trilogy to Interstellar to what other movies? Inception, Tenet, the most recent one. And a lot of his movies really just was with Warner Brothers. And because of AT&T and Warner Brothers coming out with the big announcement last year that all these movies that coming out, they're supposed to come out in 2021, are going to have a hybrid release. Going to be on HBO Max at the same time it's going to be in theaters. And when they did that, they didn't let any other movie theater, no, they didn't let any other movie studio know. The directors, I wonder if my audio cutting in and out. I've been having problems with that, so I'm gonna check it afterwards. But like the movie studios didn't know it, the actors, directors, writers, everybody that had anything to do with any movie that's supposed to come out this year, or movies that were supposed to come out and ended up getting pushed to this year, they didn't know about what their announcement was. They found out when everybody else found out. They found out when you found out. When I found out. Going online. Oh, this is what they're gonna do. And it's more or less to save their ass because they lost a lot of viewerships after Game of Thrones. So now they're trying to gain that back. The pandemic forced their hand to get in a desperate type of mode to get more subscribers, to get that following back. And it's like, in a sense, you can't blame them because, you kind of want to make money in any type of way and to get more subscribers because they had a horrible launch, not being available on Amazon Prime nor Roku, the two biggest places to have your, streaming app on. They wasn't available. So if you had those and you didn't have a Chromecast or whatever, you had to wait to get HBO Max. And they just recently did that. Put it on Roku and Amazon Prime. First it was Amazon Prime, and then now just recently on Goku. Now recently on Roku. Basically, I guess trying to get it. They were trying to get it in that get all of those deals in place for Wonder Woman 1984, which was a deal that had the hybrid release. But they handled that one right, how they were supposed to handle it. But they wasn't going to do that with all the other titles, with paying, like saying, like, this movie, let's say this movie is going to make $1 billion. We're going to give you what you would have made if this movie made $1 billion. We're going to give the director, we're going to give the actors, blah, 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 and all that stuff. They didn't do that with the other movies. So, Christopher Nolan was one of the directors among many other people that were disappointed because of just how Warner Brothers handled this situation. Like, we get that you were in this situation, but you didn't let anybody know. I gotta keep messing with this because it keeps blacking out. But they didn't let anybody know. They just did it, and that's kind of like a sneaky way of doing things. So now it's like a lot of directors are pissed off. Think I pronounced his name right. Denis Villeneuve, who directed the new Dune movie. He wanted that movie to be seen in theaters. And looking at the trailer, if you haven't seen the trailer, if you don't even know what the hell Dune is, just look it up. Dune 2021 trailer. It looks awesome. And that movie, when you see the trailer, it looks like it needs to be seen in IMAX. Like, this movie needs to be seen on the biggest screen with the greatest sound ever. And I can get why he would be mad. These movies, certain movies are made to be seen in the theater. Not every movie, but certain movies are made to be seen in theaters. And Christopher Nolan, I mean, the Wall Street Journal came out with basically an article talking about whether or not Christopher Nolan is going to continue his relationship with Warner Brothers. And I honestly would not I would not, blame him if he didn't want to continue it because of just their business practice and how they did this. It wasn't the right thing. It's similar to what Universal did last year with Trolls World Tour. How they just said that they're going to release it out, on streaming at the same time, VOD at the same time is going to be in, it would have been in theaters. Not even letting movie theaters know. That's why you had the whole big thing with AMC and all the other movie theaters, NATO, National Association of, the theaters. It's like, that's why you had that big thing last year, because Universal just made the decision and not telling anybody. And so this is what happened with HBO and with Warner Brothers or whatnot. I don't know why it stopped recording, but uh, anyway, I'm gonna continue what I just said. Um, when it comes down to it, uh, like Christopher Nolan has a lot of luxuries when it comes to his movies. If you look it up, a lot of directors aren't in the writing room, when the editing room. A lot of directors don't have any say on how their trailers are done. A lot of directors, they just come in, direct the movie, and skedaddle. Unless they have more, involvement, unless they are also a producer, unless they're also writers and stuff like that. They might have a little bit more leeway and all this stuff, but Christopher Nolan has a lot of creative control when it comes to his projects. And if he goes to another studio, who's to say that he's going to have that creative control? They literally, because of how he is as a filmmaker, they work with him. What you want to do? Okay, you're gonna do that, and it's a infamous story. When he was doing the Dark Knight trilogy, it was like they had a deal with him where it was like one for you, or one for us, one for you, one for us, one for you. That's why in between the Dark Knight movies, you had another movie where the Dark Knight trilogy was for Warner Brothers, but you had movies like Prestige, Inception, and then Interstellar. And I believe it was the Dark Knight. I forgot which one came out first, but it was basically in between. So every other movie you got it. So whether it was Batman Begins, and then Prestige, and then Dark Knight, and then it was Inception, and then it was the Dark Knight Rises, and then it was Interstellar. It was basically like that. They worked with him. Like, you give us something, we're going to give you something, kind of a 69 deal. But a favor for a favor, however you want to look at it. But who's to say that if he goes to Universal, Disney, or, I'm just throwing out names, who's to say that he's going to get that type of deal? They might look at it and be like, yo, man, we need you to do this, so you're going to do this. And that's basically, it's like, I don't know, like, it may suck for him or it may be good, but I'm pretty sure that once he severed ties with Warner Brothers, you're going to find a lot of other studios that's going to be clamoring for Christopher Nolan and his filmmaking. And then on top of that, how many other studios are going to give him how much money he needs to make it? Tenet, $200 million. Who else would have gave Christopher Nolan that much money to make a passion project? Because a lot of his movies basically just come off as passion projects, just in how he is as a filmmaker. So, I mean, we'll see how this pan out, because maybe it's too far gone to where they can sever ties. Maybe they sever ties and maybe they come back to work together, or maybe it's just over. And then if it is, what's going to happen from here on in? So it's a lot of things that go along with it, and hopefully things work out. Hopefully things really do work out. I'm going to go for as long as I can. Usually I try to go for like 30 something minutes on my podcast, but since I'm doing video now, I'm going to go as long as I feel. I really am going to go as long as I feel. But my kind of time limit is like an hour. So if you're still here by an hour mark, I thank you so much. And if you like what I've been saying, and you kind of like my commentary and how I do things and all that stuff, man, give this video a like. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And yeah, let's move on to the next thing. So we're going to do some reviews up in this piece. So the first review that I'm going to be doing is a review on WandaVision. Now, I was trying to do it like week by week, do like episode, review on each episode or whatever as the weeks went by. And I just got kind of lazy, I ain't even gonna front. So the first 3 episodes dropped. The first week, both episode 1 and 2 dropped. And then this past Friday, episode 3 dropped. So this week is going to be 1 episode after that. So I'm going to be tackling all 3 episodes. I'm not going to go super long. I may get into some spoiler territory, but I mean, if you have not seen the episodes yet, that's on you. You know, it's almost about to become a week from the third episode being out. So I mean, if you haven't seen it, you might want to go check it out before even listening to this portion of the podcast. But let me go ahead and get straight into it. This is different. I can say that Marvel tries to do a lot of boldness when it comes to their projects. And this was just extremely different. This was something that they took from. I'm not a person that has heavy knowledge on the comic books. You know, I've learned from videos that I've watched on YouTube, Comic Story and Rob, Comics Explain, and stuff like that. And that's just to name a few. But actually physically reading these comic books, no. But I do know that they are taking inspiration from a story from X-Men involving Scarlet Witch, where she alters time to where there's no mutants or whatnot, and it's called the House of M. And they're just basically taking inspiration from that, being that Scarlet Witch, with the loss of vision, has basically somehow, we don't even know, he's brought back to life. He's brought back to life, and they're in this town that she's kind of like manipulated and made her own by putting like this kind of dome around it, and now they're living in a reality that is TV like, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, and stuff of that nature. And the way that they did it is actually pretty decent. Now, they dropped the first 2 episodes the first week, which I didn't understand. I'm like, why y'all drop the first 2 episodes? I ain't complaining, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, why? And it's mainly because my first perception of the first 2 episodes is like, a lot of people probably didn't catch the trailer, probably going to watch it and just think that, like, it's going to be like this. Like, it's not going to be anything significant. Why am I going to watch this? This is just black and white comedy, I Love Lucy type of stuff. I'm not really a person that really likes stuff like that. So why would I sit here and watch it? So they wanted to put out the second episode. That way to keep people, it'll get people, you know, they continue to watch and be like, okay, there's something different. You know, you have moments where Vision is questioning the reality, where he's like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. And then you see a rewind. And then that scene plays over again, but it plays out differently. Showing that Scarlet Witch doesn't want him to find out, or anybody else to find out what's happening or say what's happening. So every time that happens with Vision questioning it, it always rewinds. It always rewinds. And I thought that was cool. And I'm still trying to figure out how is he back and how does she did it. But I mean, she's powerful. She can manipulate a time bubble, or not a time bubble, but reality in a bubble or whatever, then, you know, it's whatever. And I like how they have like a bunch of Easter eggs within this movie, like within the show. If you are a huge fan of the comic book, you will probably pick out some of the, you know, Easter eggs, but they have, you know, symbols from the organization SWORD from the comic books, as well as AIM, and just other different things in there. Like if you're not enthralled in it, or, you know, I don't even know if I'm using the right word, but if you're not, you know, into comic books or reading like that, there is a lot of stuff that you're more than likely gonna miss. But yeah, like it's neat how they did it, especially with the commercials. They have fucking commercials in between certain parts of the episode, and it's their own commercial, where it's like Stark Technologies or Strucker, and there was another one. There was some like a soak or some Hydra soak, you know, because of the group Hydra, you know. So, and I like that, and I've noticed that actually this video pointed it out to me that the actors that are in these commercials are the same actors. So that more than likely has some significance to, you know, Wanda or just whatever. Like, why are these 2 characters constantly being used in every commercial? So it's a lot of stuff that is like really like neat about it as far as the Easter eggs go. But I just like I like how they use the effects. the effects used in this is kind of similar to some of the effects and techniques that they would have used back during that era, like when she's like picking up stuff with her, doing the telekinesis and moving objects with her mind. It's nothing like you would see today in film or TV. It looks like something like objects are on strings. It looks like something you would have seen back, when the technology that we have today wasn't used. Like, she's putting together a crib in the second episode, and as she's was that the third episode? Yeah, it's the third episode. She's putting together the crib, and as it's coming together, it looks like, it's like strings being lifted up and putting, stuff together. And I like how they did that, especially when Vision is going through stuff. I like that. As far as the human is actually pretty good. They use the same type of humor that are used in these shows of that era. Like, if you like I Love Lucy, they have that type of humor. If you like the Brady Bunch, they have that type of humor in the third episode that's taking inspiration from that, as well as other shows. And these are the shows that just come to mind when I look at everything else that I can relate to. But I like the humor used. I had to rewatch all 3 episodes again, actually a little bit before I did this podcast. And I actually enjoyed it a little bit more because now I'm starting to notice certain things. At first, I thought it was that, Scarlet Witch and Vision didn't know what was going on. But now that I realized it, Vision is the only person that is oblivious. At least, as far as like trying to figure stuff out. Because it seemed like some of the other characters, they may know what exactly is going down. But they can't say it because of fear of, Wanda. And it seems like Sword is trying to infiltrate and try to, I guess you could say, break everybody out. It seemed like the characters feel like they're in a prison, that they have to act a certain way and everything else. And that's why you have Rambo, I forgot the girl's first name, but in Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau's daughter is Geraldine in this show or whatnot. I mean, and that's not really a big spoiler because they mentioned it before this show even premiered. But it's crazy, just a lot of the details and everything that they put into it. And I just wish that I had more knowledge when it came to, the comic books. That way I could just be like, oh my God, they used that. And start geeking out like a lot of other, people must have been geeking out when they heard Strucker's name, all that stuff. And Paul Bettany has great comedic timing. I really loved him in the second episode when he get the gum stuck up inside of his like body and he starts acting like he's drunk and everything else. Like, he killed it. Oh God, what's her name? Olsen, Elizabeth Olsen. I don't know why I thought of Emily, but Elizabeth Olsen, like, she does incredible. Like, I mean, she still doesn't have the accent, but I did like her up in this. But to me, the real big standout, at least as far as the comedy goes, is Paul Bettany. It seemed like Wanda, she does a good job. Elizabeth Olsen, she does a great job. Like, it feels like at certain points, certain characters are more, how you can say, more comfortable in their roles. Kind of like Chris Hemsworth with Thor. These actors are more comfortable in their role. And I like that. When it's like that, you can tell, and it's more enjoyable to us as an audience because you get the best out of that actor because it seems like they're having fun. So I really did like that. And yeah, when it comes to it, I really did like these 3 episodes. I really did. I like what they're doing with it. I am curious to see more. What's going to happen in episode 4 or 5? However many episodes they're going to go to. I'm curious to see how they're going to go and how they're going to, do this. Because it seems like, it just seems like they have a really good vision for it. No pun intended. And I just really want to see where it goes because this is a 3-part kind of, I guess you could say, trilogy. That this is the beginning of the whole multiverse type thing, which is going to lead into Spider-Man 3, which then is going to lead into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man, and Wanda is going to be in the Doctor Strange movie. So I'm very curious to see how all this is going to pan out. And man, I can't wait to see episode 4. I really can't wait. Now, what else do I need to cover? What else do I need to cover? Actually, it's just one last thing, and then we could call it quits. Let me find my place up in here, because I got to review One Night in Miami. Bear with me. I'm going to have, as I start to do this, everything is going to start to come together a little bit better. So, let me find my place. One Night in Miami. Found my notes. I already know a better way to do this, so you won't be seeing me stopping and flipping pages and all that stuff. So, to end off this podcast, I am going to review One Night in Miami. It's a movie that literally just came out recently, a couple weeks back, on Amazon Prime. I actually went to see it last year, but it wasn't showing in any theater near me, so I had to wait to this year, which I ended up finding this movie great. It's a kind of like a fictional conversation between Malcolm X, Cassius Clay, as better known as Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, as well as Sam Cooke. And I say fictional because no one actually knows the conversation, what the contents of the conversation that happened between these 4 guys on this particular night in Miami after, the Muhammad Ali fight. And so it was, this movie is a movie that I cannot recommend any more than I have. It is a great movie. Muhammad Ali, the guy who plays Muhammad Ali, does an amazing job. He killed it. And I just love him. The guy who played Malcolm X, and I'm sorry I didn't write down the names or whatever. The guy who played Malcolm X did an amazing job. Everybody did an amazing job. Like, in this movie, like, all the characters were engaging. Everybody had their own kind of personality brought to the conversation. And it starts off very entertaining with the Cassius Clay fight, and how he goes about it, and how he's just talking shit. It's extremely entertaining. Like, it'll grip you from like that first scene, and just the boxing elements were actually nicely done. Like, they didn't Regina King knew how to shoot this, and the fighting box scenes were done actually pretty damn good. I liked it. It wasn't like one of them things where like, oh, everything is good, but the fighting scenes are just like, ugh. Nah, everything was done beautifully. And it has some really good humor. Like I said, Muhammad Ali is one of the highlights. Basically, I guess you could say he is the comedic relief. The comic relief of this film. And it evens out from just the seriousness to the playfulness. Like, it all evens out. I don't know if that cut out. I told you, I'm having technical difficulties, so hopefully all of this is recording and I don't have to re-record this long-ass podcast again. But yeah, like, the humor and the seriousness balance out, and I really did like that. Phenomenal acting all across the board, like I said. Everybody did an amazing job. And I don't know what I was writing with this, within my notes, but along with the acting, there was incredible chemistry between all 4 of the characters. All the actors did great, just bouncing off of each other with everything that was going on. Great writing. It was powerful, engaging, and especially when the conversations go from playful to just like playful and friendly to intense and just kind of hostile. Like, it's just the way it does and how it kind of goes to that. But a lot of the stuff that they were talking about, it keeps you engaged. It's not one of the things where you're like, oh my God, they're talking too much. They're talking about some stuff that can be put to today. They're talking about just the responsibilities of being black and successful and what that means with like just being an influence to other black people and doing what I guess what you're supposed to do and kind of making like society better and like having a voice out there, just like a lot of people nowadays have voices. Like a lot of people would say like, oh yeah, I probably might need to use my platform to, state the, the seriousness of, everything that's been going on in society and all that stuff. And with rappers, actors and everything else, it does basically relates to a lot of stuff today, and it is relevant with a lot of stuff today and with a lot of people that have that success. And I did like that. I really did like that. And the conversations, it just it grips you. I seen the movie twice. I might end up watching it again. Like really love this movie. It's like Regina King knocked it out the ballpark with this. Like she did an amazing job. It is well acted. Like well acted, well directed. She did an amazing job, and this movie is just really powerful. Like this is one of those movies where it stays on your mind weeks after you see it. You can't help but to recommend it. You can't help but to think about what has been said in this movie. It resonates with you, And with me being black, I feel like any black person that watches this is going to get something out of it. Maybe, a thought-provoking conversation or something of that nature. But it is crazy good. And I feel like if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Like this movie is worth seeing. I wish I could have seen it in theaters, but I'm just glad that I saw it because it is fucking phenomenal. And I mean, it's no real big higher praise that I can give. But now I realize why I wrote the N word in the thing. So I don't say the N word. There's a whole big story behind it, but I don't say the N word. That's why if you listen to all my podcasts, you don't ever hear me say it. I stopped saying it like years back. And the reason why I wrote it down because they say it a lot in the movie. And it sticks out to me. It's not a negative, but it sticks out. So if if it bothers you, just know, be prepared. You're gonna hear the N word a lot. But as far as it goes, I can't recommend it anymore. My rating, I used to give all different type of ratings. I just say, like more of a recommendation. I give it a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, however you want to put it. It's good. Definitely check it out. That's the highest recommendation I could give. I mean, I could say 2 thumbs up or whatever. Definitely watch it. It's incredible. I love the film. I really did. I made up watching it a third, maybe even a 4th time. Like this, it's fucking crazy. It really is. But with that said, thank you guys for watching me, checking me out on this 150th episode of the podcast after a long ass hiatus on my channel. And if you, like I said, you like it, you like what you've heard, you like what you see, or everything else, you like the conversation and stuff, my thoughts and everything else, go ahead, give it a like, give it that thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not, and hit that notification bell so that you will be notified for everything else to drop. I have a lot of stuff planned that I am definitely going to push myself, no matter how I'm feeling, to get these videos out to you guys, because I have a goal and I want you guys to help me reach that goal, getting more subscribers, more views, and just keeping the conversation going with movies, shows, whatever. And let's just try to build up a community, something that we can just go to and clear our minds when we are in that depressed state. You can listen to me, I can listen to you, we can listen to each other, engage with each other, and get our minds off of certain things, off of negative things in our life, and maybe that will help us get better in our mental health. So I'm not here to preach to you, I'm just here just asking for help. Help me, help you, help me, help you. Let's help each other on this one. But in any case, thank you again for joining me, and I will catch you guys next week on the next edition of the Take One Podcast. I'm going to try to keep doing this live. like how I'm doing, not live, but you know, in front of the camera as well as audio. So look out for that. Episode 151. Peace out. So hey, before you guys leave this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and give this video a like because it will really help me out. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And you see that little bell? That's the notification. Turn that on, that way you'll be notified for anything that drops on my channel. And if you look down in the description below, you will see all the links to my social media, so go ahead and follow me on those if you haven't already. As well as there are links to my other content that's on the channel, from movie reviews to podcasts to so much more. And I hope to see you guys here again next time. So thanks and peace out.